The words of the Lord are words of life. You hear it on 657 AM.
It's 23 minutes before the hour, 2 o'clock here on Radio Pulpit, 657 AM with me, your host, Bonolo Nkosi. Thank you so much for staying tuned in. There's a great parable that Jesus tells about giving talents out. And he gives one man 5, another 2, another 1. And then the master returns. And he wants to find out what the servants have done, right? With the gifts that he gave them, the talents that he gives them. And everybody has to account. The 5th one says, I went and doubled what you gave me. And God's like, great, well done, good and faithful servant. You've made me proud. I'm paraphrasing the story here. The second guy with the 2 talents, same thing. The third one talks about how he was afraid and how he hid the talent and how he didn't do what he was supposed to do with it. And we have a very, very angry master who's not impressed. And I think the point of the story is that to each of us, much has been given. And now that much may vary in whatever shape or form. But the point of the story is that we are all stewards of something. And I think one of the best reflections of that, which we all get an opportunity to be stewards for, is money. Right? And so when it comes to issues of managing that and how well we do that, it's in our best interest to all learn how to go about it and do it really well, which is why I am continually grateful to have financial advisor Phumelelo Ndumo on the line with us to help us navigate the waters of debt and hopefully come out of there. Still looking good. How are you doing, Sis Phumelelo?
Hi, Bonolo. I'm doing great, and I would also like to greet the listeners.
Thank you so much for giving us your time one more time. I know that last week we've been doing a series now. We started the conversation about ways to get out of debt. Some 7 steps it was that we're going through, and we got through 2 of them last week before we ran out of time. So we're hoping we'll see how we fare today. Hopefully we'll get through a whole lot more. But yes, it's entirely up to you whether you want to do a mini recap or whether we can just jump right into the third tip of how to get out of debt so we can empower the listeners.
Yes, I think, Bonolo, I will continue because, we don't have sufficient time.
Yes.
But I'm happy that last week we dealt with step 2, which is basically completing the table. Mm-hmm. And that is basically on page 26 of the book, From Debt to Riches.
Yes.
Once you complete that table, if you can at least confront, your debts, and be able to look at them written down on the piece of paper, with everything that goes with it.
Yes.
I think if you manage to do that, you're really on your way there. And oftentimes, once people have that, even if they email it to me, then I'm able to quickly see potentially where the problem is. And sometimes I can even recommend very quick ways to get out. Yes. Depending on what is, reflected on that table. This is why, for me, that is a very critical point if you want to get out of debt. So with that step 2 done, and it also highlights to you how much you could have back in your pocket at the end of each month if you did not have to use that money to pay the debts. And that is what hopefully will assist people to, go through this difficult process.
Yes, and be honest.
Now yes. And also, I'm putting a journal out there for any of the listeners who are interested. I've actually documented these 7 steps to get out of debt. So I am happy to share that with people out there, especially those who will then be willing to give some sharings back, so that we learn from each other and we share from each other. Sharing of knowledge is helpful to all of us. Mm-hmm. So the third step, once we have completed the table on page 26, is to then, ask yourself, how do you feel about this debt? There's a second person now who, those who follow us on Facebook and LinkedIn and on social media in general are going to get to know about. Her name is Retabile. She also said, I'm enough of this debt. I want to get out. Mm-hmm. So, which is our second, case study, as it were, to learn from and to share the lessons with everyone from. And before I even asked her, she says to me, you know what, completing this table was so difficult, and
Sure.
I am happy in a way that I was able to complete it because I can now face my demons.
Sure.
So, just being honest with yourself to say, how do you feel having completed the table? Are you feeling angry? Are you feeling sad? Are you feeling depressed? Are you feeling disillusioned? Ashamed? How does this make you feel? Do you feel that it is impossible to get out? Because it is important to be honest with yourself.
Right.
And also bear in mind that, the reason why I always ask is, the people that I work with, how they feel, is I want to gauge where they are emotionally, because that is a highly emotional issue.
Indeed.
It's important for me, if you're feeling depressed, and you're feeling suicidal because you feel there's no way out for you, then somebody appropriate should be assisting you.
Yeah.
Because there's absolutely no reason why anyone should commit suicide over money or over debt.
Mm-hmm.
But also, one of the questions that I also ask is, how did you get into this debt?
Yes.
It's very important that each person who is struggling with debt understands the how, and why. Why did you get into this debt? And when did you get into this debt?
Mm-hmm.
Because if you understand those things, there's a saying that you cannot solve a problem unless you understand the actual root cause
Yes.
of that problem. Otherwise, you are just dealing with the symptoms. Last week I made a comment which one could, say it is to a point judgmental, when I said, behind the debt is lifestyle. Reality is it is not lifestyle for everyone.
That's true.
And Rithabile now actually proved that for me. In her instance, she has got all this debt, and part of it was because she had no understanding of interest rates. When she finally, forced herself to sit down and confront her demons, as she put it, and she put all her debts, on the table, then she can look at them. The first thing I said, what do you see in that table? She was confused. And I said to her, do you realize that the home loan is the cheapest form of debt for you? She's basically paying about, I've got a table here, she's paying 11% on her home loan.
Right.
And on the personal loans, she's paying 27% plus.
This is interest rate.
So I said to her, do you realize why you are in this problem that you are in? And then she said to me, even after I completed this table, I didn't see that. I said, there you go. So lack of knowledge sometimes, is the root cause. And there were other issues. So this is why, for me, I want somebody to tell me, when did they get into this debt? And most importantly, why did they get into this debt? And so this is step 3, where we try to get to the root problems or root causes of this debt for each person, because every person is different. Sometimes people get into debt because a family member passes on unexpectedly, and they have no money to bury them, and then they go for personal loans, as an example. So there are many different reasons. Lifestyle is just one of them, and could be the most common reason, especially I know for young people and young professionals. But it's not everyone who is affected because of lifestyle. So once we understand the root causes, we then get to step 4. And I think in the past we may have spoken about step 4, but today I just want to highlight a few things.
Okay.
So step 4 is, with the debt, And part of that table, one of the things that I want, people are in debt to list on the table for each debt is the credit life, the credit assurance, or home loan or loan protection policies.
Okay. What does that mean?
Okay. Okay. So one, I insist that you go and you put it on the table. Not only that, now once it's put there, these are some of the things that I want people to understand. Most importantly, it is not everyone who should have credit life or credit assurance or loan protection policy, because it is not everyone who qualifies for it.
Okay.
There are people who have it, they do not qualify for it, and unfortunately, when the time comes and they get retrenched or whatever, and they try to claim, they will be told, no, sorry, you did not read your credit life policy agreement properly.
Sure.
You should not have had this. So it is important to understand that not everyone qualifies. So who are the people that do not qualify for this credit life, but who might have it?
Okay.
It is, for instance, if you're a pensioner and you buy something on credit, you should not take credit life. If you are self-employed, you should not take credit life. You do not qualify for it. If you are a contract worker, you work on a contract, it could be a 12-month or a 5-year contract. You do not qualify, because one day when that contract comes to an end, you can't go and claim and say, I've lost a job. It was never a full-time job. It was a contract job. And sometimes people take credit life and they already have it in their life covers. So
Sure.
they are duplicating. So, and again, think about it. If you're a government employee, what are the chances of being retrenched? So why are you then taking credit life in the unlikely event that you might get retrenched? And again, even if you qualify for it, you must understand the terms and make sure you understand them fully. For an example, yes, you may be retrenched, but there are two main types of retrenchment. There is one that is called voluntary retrenchment, and then involuntary retrenchment. So if it is voluntary retrenchment, you will not qualify for credit life.
Okay.
So, so there are so many booby traps, for lack of a better description, with this credit life. That, and also just understand, what does it mean? Does it mean that when you get retrenched, in most instances, it simply means that, the insurer will pay your installment for about 6 months,
right,
as an example. And there are people who think, when I get retrenched, my debts are going to be wiped off. No. They might pay for 6 months only, and that is it. So, and these things are so different. That is why it is important that you understand. And then if you're one of those people that do not need it, or your debt is so small that it doesn't make sense to have it, then you may then save yourself some money by cancelling it. So that is the step 4. Is if you don't need it or it doesn't make sense for you to have it, then cancel it and save yourself some money. And again, using Rita Bile, who's our next case study, and she's given us permission to use her name, use her face, share, so that she learns in the process and others learn from her.
Right.
She, for instance, on one of her personal loans, she's paying 303 rands per month. And another one, which is a credit card, she's paying 109 rands per month. So when I added her credit life, monthly premiums, she's paying over 500 rands per month. So immediately, you see that if she wasn't paying for this credit life, she could save herself 500 rands per month, and then she will take this 500 rands per month and put it into one of her debts.
Sure.
And pay off that debt quicker.
Indeed.
So I therefore encourage our listeners to ask themselves the question, do they fully understand the terms and conditions of their credit life? Do they qualify for it? Do they need it? Or is it something that they can do without and then by so doing save themselves money?
We're in conversation with financial advisor Phumelele Ndumo, talking about steps to getting out of debt. I trust that you're taking notes, whether they be mental or physical notes, and that you log on to their site on Facebook, that Tutuka SA, Tutuka-SA, to see Ritabile's story. The whole goal here is to assist each of us, and maybe it doesn't apply to you, but you know somebody who could use that help. Please let them know so that, we can all be free, because we all know in kingdom life, the rule is very simple. Oh, no man, nothing except love. I think we can definitely go through one or two more, Ms. Phumelele. What is the next step?
I think so.
Yes.
The next step is, to get out of debt, is the budget review. Look at your budget.
Mm-hmm.
And this is again the challenge. Do you know how many people do not budget? They just earn their money at the end of the month and they spend it without following, a proper budget.
Mm.
So this therefore becomes perhaps an unnecessary burden when people come and ask for help to say, so where is your budget?
Mm.
And you find people who've never put together a budget. But for those who've put together a budget, you then look at your budget and you try and see where could you potentially save money. Because when you're in debt, and let's say you have 7, 8 debts and so forth,
mm-hmm.
one of the first things that I will do to try and assist you is to say, where can we save money for you?
Right.
So the credit assurance is the first place, then your debt review is the second place. Now, let me just mention some common areas that I often find, most of us waste money without even realizing it.
Okay.
And unfortunately, my full list is in Johannesburg. I'm in Cape Town at the moment, so I had to scratch my head and try to recall just a few of them.
All right.
But the first one, and I know this one, Bonolo, because I personally saved myself over 3,000 rands, and I am still so happy. I tell everyone about it.
Okay.
There is something called GeyserWise. Most of us have got geysers at home, but our geysers are on from the moment, they are on 24/7.
That's
the
true.
The only time they are off is when there's load shedding. Do you know?
Funny you should say that. We're low shedded at the moment.
And in fact, we had load shedding here in Cape Town last night and this morning, and it's been crazy. But, so last year, I called, an old varsity friend. He's an engineer, electrical engineer, and I said, I cannot afford to pay, I was paying about 7,000 rands during the winter months.
Oh, my goodness.
In summer, 6,000 rands. And I said, you know what, Ndumi, so this is crazy.
That is
crazy.
And
the first thing he said to me was, do you have GeyserWise? I said, what is that?
Yes.
He said, there is your first problem. And a GeyserWise costs less than 300 rands. You buy that thing from a hardware shop, you get a handyman or a plumber to install it, with your geyser. I'm saving, like I said, I'm saving minimum 3,000 rands per month.
That is incredible.
I tell you. So I thought, my goodness, all these years I am paying so much electricity. Why didn't I get to know about this GeyserWise sooner?
Mm.
So there you go. Go to a hardware shop, ask them for a GeyserWise, get a plumber, they'll install it, you'll save yourself a lot of money.
I'm getting it after this. That's amazing.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. But then he went on to give me other tips. These are the things sometimes we hear on radio, but we forget about.
That's true.
Like he looked around my house and he said, you know what? All your light bulbs are not energy efficient. If you got energy efficient light bulbs. So I am now very careful whenever I buy bulbs or we buy bulbs in the house, I say, please make sure you get energy efficient, light bulbs. It actually works to save you money. I think part of the, 3,000 to 4,000 savings that I'm making now is because we installed all of these recommendations.
Sure.
And then there is meal planning. Why are you cooking every day of the week and wasting electricity? And this is, again, I got this from another customer, Adrian, and she taught me about meal planning to say you can actually cook 2 or 3 times a week. That will save you a lot of time and a lot of money, So planning your meals properly. And then coming to policies. Short-term policies such as, when you have a car, have you asked yourself why every year your car premiums, insurance premiums to cover your car in the event of, your car getting lost or getting in an accident. Why are they increasing? Because the value of your car is reducing.
That's true.
So there are now insurance companies that automatically every year they reduce your insurance premium because the value of your car reduces. So,
I hear you.
In the past I used to, and I love this. It's a game that I do whenever I have time in my hands. I just phone my insurer for my car and I say, hey, I can't afford this. And we haggle. And oftentimes I say, you know what? I'm going elsewhere. And guess what? They always give me a discount. So we've got to learn to negotiate our insurance premiums, especially if we have cars. The other way, again, which, people don't understand, funeral policies, by their very nature, are expensive.
Okay.
Again, I come across many people who are paying sometimes over 1,000 rands per month. When you look at how much they will get, they've covered this family member here, another family member there, and, they are going to get 10,000 rands here. You add all of this up, it's a lot of money.
It is.
So I want our listeners to understand that insurance policies are inherently expensive because when you take a funeral policy, no one asks the question, all they want is, who is this that you are covering? So you give the person's full names as they appear on the ID, and you give, their ID number, and, you then say how much funeral policy you want to take, and who is this? Is this your mom, your sister, who is it, or your child? And boom, you've got it. There are no medical questions asked, and that is called underwriting. And that is why funeral policies are very expensive. When you look at what people are paying and what they will get one day when their family members pass on, is not justifiable. So there are ways to reduce the cost of funeral policies. And then there is something else, accident covers. I don't know if you've heard of an accident cover.
No, I think I've heard of the disability one, but no, not accident cover. How does that work?
Accident cover is basically an insurance that will pay you should you die or should you become disabled as a result of an accident.
Right.
Now, unless you are really always on the road, like a taxi driver, that kind of cover does not make sense because the bottom line is we are all going to die one day.
Yes,
we just don't know how.
Yes.
So if you go and you lock yourself and you buy accident cover and then you die because you fell ill, that accident cover will not pay.
You forfeit all that money that you've been paying on a monthly basis.
You've just been paying this thing and been paying this thing. Why are you paying for something? Because yes, you're going to die, but you don't know how.
It's true.
So unless you really face a very, very big risk of dying in an accident, like your job involves you being on the road all the time. But again, even if that's the case, you may just not die in an accident and you may just die from natural causes.
That's true.
So you've got to be very clear in your mind, about accident cover and ask yourself, do you need it? Do you really want to pay this money? Because you may not die in an accident. And then for people with pools, swimming pools.
Right.
Again, you can save yourself a lot of money. It's the same device, that you use for the geyser to time your swimming pool so that it doesn't, the pump does not clean. I mean, why are you cleaning your pool 24/7?
That's true.
You can clean your pool several hours each day and save yourself a lot of electricity. So one of the things about the review of the budget, the step on reviewing the budget is to, look for ways to save more money so that you can take those savings and use them to pay off some of your debts.
Sure. You have given us a lot to think about. I'm looking. I've been typing this out and taking notes and really thinking about some of the ways to do that. I'm sad to say that we are once again out of time.
No, that's fine. Actually,
yeah.
Sorry, one sec. Bonolo, I think let's close the interview.
Yes, let's do that. We'll chat again next week. Thank you so much for your time. I know you need to dash. I will give out your contact details, email, Facebook, etc. But thank you so much for your time. You've given us a lot to think about. And enjoy the rest of your day.
Thank you so much, Bonolo.
Cheerio. Sure. Yeah, that was quite a list. We're like cracking ourselves in studios thinking about, the fact that, when we're talking about the geyser wise, and the fact that the only time our geysers is off, is during load shedding. And I mean, that item, less than $300 and could literally save you thousands in rands, in your rates and taxes, electricity and water bills. I'm getting my things confused here. So as you heard, we went through quite a bit, and as you can see, this getting out of debt thing requires some serious introspection and some serious honesty with oneself if you're going to be free. So if you are finding yourself in debt, if you need someone to talk to, we have a wonderful counseling department here. We don't want you feeling like you're alone, like you can't cope, and you're thinking this is the end, there's no way out. There's always a way out. That number for counseling department, if you want to get in touch with them, is 012-334-1320. I will repeat, 012-334-1320. So do get in touch with them. If you need someone to talk to, if you need counseling, if you need prayer, just so that you're able to stand on your feet. Because at the end of the day, right, we're going to need to take action. It's just one of those things. It's the kind of change that can't happen unless you're willing to sit down. All the steps that we discussed requires one to sit down and do something. Because I know that sometimes life happens to us, and sometimes we happen to us, so whichever way we got into the mess, some steps need to be taken to repair that. And so just to give out those contact details, in case if you want to volunteer yourself, to get the help or be a case study of sorts, but obviously you're getting helped in the process. Either way, perhaps you have a question for them. This is Phumelele Ndumo, Tutuka SA. Their office number 011-568-2635. If you want to email them, it's info@tutuka-sa.co.za. Tutuka spelled THUTHUKA-SA.co.za. The website www.tutukasa.co.za. And of course, they're on Facebook as well. They are running a debt counseling thing where they take an individual and go through this process with them. So check out their stories on Facebook. I think they're on YouTube as well. Just watch the videos. It won't take you long, because sometimes, even if maybe you're not so courageous as to be willing to be a volunteer yourself, you can see yourself in someone else. And maybe the situation is exactly the same, and you can go in there, listen to their story, listen to the advice that they're given and apply it. And see the changes that you need to see. So get out there and get it done.